Very much. He is Vice President of HKNU, Hanyang National University, Korea. And also welcome Professor Shinjiro Okita, PhD, the Dean of Faculty of Life and Environmental Sciences from Federal University of Hiroshima. And also our guest, Dr. Yanuro Mori. Yeah, thank you very much, Mori. Please welcome. And also Dr. Mah Yausen. Thank you very much from Unimas, University Sarawak, University Malaysia Sarawak. And also here attend with us Dr. Fafali from Chiang Mai University. Yeah. And then also come with 6 number, Dr. Iva from University Malaysia Terengganu. Terengganu, WMT, please stand up. Terengganu, from Terengganu. Yeah. Yeah. And then from SGU also, 7 orang, ya, 7 participants. Thank you very much. Yeah. And also join online, Professor Susan from Australia. And also from Professor Patricia Rayas Duarte from Oklahoma State University. And maybe others, yeah, I cannot mention one by one. And also all participants came from various regions and in Indonesia and also various countries. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let us express our thanks to the presence of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has given us the ability to organize this event and attend it. A journey to maintain network across researchers, across professors, across universities, across countries, and even continents, that is not so easy to travel. Since its declaration in 2015 at the University of Jember, Indonesia, for the first International Conference of Food, Agriculture and Natural Resources, SIA FANRes, an executive meeting by 46 university or faculty leaders. It turns out that in 2023, this event is being held for the 8th time at the University of Jember, Indonesia. The 8th SIA FANRes is even more special because it is held in collaboration with the 2nd ICCA, International Conference of Sustainable Industrial Agriculture, which has almost the same coverage. It is an excellent collaboration that was initiated and realized, thus making this forum stronger and more meaningful. The COVID-19 and post-pandemic have provided our own challenge and lesson in organizing program and gathering support and participation from the FANRes International Network. Even though it is postponed in 2020 and the implementation was fully virtual in 2021, it is customary to do it hybrid in 2022. In 2023, it will basically be held offline while still accommodating requests from speakers who for special reason really cannot attend offline. Despite the pandemic, the current number of institutions that are members of FANRes International Network has increased from 46 in 2025 at the 2022 FANRes Executive Meeting to 69 member university or faculty. In fact, we continue to maintain the International Journal of FANRes, or IG FANRes, which we created in 2020. Currently, it has produced 11 published editions, or has recently published 3 editions per year, which is currently up to volume 4 and issue 3. Hopefully, it will be available soon, submitted for Scopus indexation. Thank you, Pak Prof. Bayu Taruna and team. Yeah. The 8th IC FANRes and the second ICCA with the theme on innovation, technology, and natural resource management on industrial agriculture to accelerate SDGs achievement. We had with multi-parties collaboration within the University of Jember, which include the Institute for Research and Community Service, the Faculty of Agriculture Technology, and the Faculty of Agriculture. Terima kasih Pak Dekan FTP dan semua wadek yang begitu solid ya, dan juga Pak Dekan Pertanian ya. Terima kasih banyak dan tim. Therefore, as President of the FANRes International Network, I would like to express my thanks to the Mr. Rector. Thank you very much, Pak Rector. Extraordinary support for this FANRes. Vice Rector, Dean, and Vice Dean, and especially the Dean of Vice Dean and Vice Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture Technology and the Faculty of Agriculture. The leader, including Secretary of Research and Community Development Institution, the entire committee, especially Bapak Dr. Rondi. Thank you, Bapak Dr. Rondi. But he always said that the chairperson, not him. Chairperson is Butriana. Thank you, Butriana. But Butriana also said bahwa the chairperson is Pak Rondi. Yeah. So I think better was a couple, couple. But a partner in FANRes and partner in not in household. Ya. Jadi couple di dalam kepanitiaan tapi bukan couple di rumah tangga ya. Because it's them had their own partner. And also all committee, thank you very much. The entire committee along with work partners and Jember Region Government, Pak Bupati dan seluruh jajarannya yang juga mensupport acara gala dinner dan seterusnya, ya. As well as Indonesian Coffee and Cocoa Research Institute, Puslit Koka, which is pleased to also welcome field trips for our guests. And then appreciation which also expressed to the FANRes executive member for the dedication and loyalty in working with the FANRes network. To all speakers and participants for their contribution, we also convey our appreciation to all sponsors who have provided extraordinary support, including PT Ajinomoto, Pak Yudo, terima kasih, dan tim yang mensupport, Senyum Media, PT Mitra Tani, Maena, Primadona, and all sponsors, I cannot mention one by one. Hopefully, this conference will bring benefit and blessing in thinking that support food security and sustainable industrial agriculture for the country and the world. Before I close my speech, let me to rhyme. Rhyme adalah pantun, ya. Izinkan saya untuk berpantun. Bisa dijawab, oke ya, biar semua tahu. Oke ya. Apabila kulit terluka, sudah pastilah mudah obatnya. Namun tatkala hati yang tergores, sulit sembuhlah kiranya. Janganlah berduka apabila artikel ditolak penerbitnya. Ikuti konferensia dan FANRes, perbanyak kolega dan raih manfaatnya. Ya, kira-kira ya dalam bahasa Inggris, karena ada tamu kita asing ya. If the skin is injured, it is finally easy to cure. But when the heart is scratched, it is difficult to heal. Don't be sad if the article is rejected by publisher. Take part in the SIA and FANRes conference, make more colleagues, and get the benefit. The 59th anniversary of the University of Jember, hopefully it will be even more successful and more global. Dirgahayu Universitas Jember yang ke-59, semoga makin jaya dan mendunia. Enjoy the productive conference in University of Jember and enjoy Jember. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to Professor Yuli Witono.
The second welcoming speech from President Prefectural University of Hiroshima, Japan. We'll showing the video from Japan.
Mr. President of the Congress, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations on holding the 8th International Conference of FANRes and the second International Conference of Sustainable Industrial Agriculture 2023. My name is Tomu Morinaga. I'm president of Prefectural University of Hiroshima, Japan. I'm very sorry I cannot attend this meeting, so I send this message. By the way, there are many troubles occurred in many places of the world now. We have protect sustainable development goals. In that sense, this meeting is very important. So I hope the meeting ends successfully. See you again next time.
University of Jember. Please welcome to Dr. Iwan Taruna.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning. Honorable speakers, distinguished guests, I think in here including the Dean in University of Jember and head of the Institute for Research and Community Services, as well as the president of the FANRes Network, Professor Yuli Witono, the Kepala Dinas of Jember District Government, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, please allow me to, in this morning, to invite you all to be grateful to the God who has blessed us today with a very fine condition so that we can join and participate in the 8th International Conference on Food, Agriculture, and Natural Resources, and the second conference in International Conference of Sustainable Industrial Agriculture, which both of them will be held from 24 and 25 November 2023. On behalf of the University of Jember, of course, it is my great pleasure and honor to welcome you to these conferences that are organized by the Institute for Research and Community Services, University of Jember, in collaboration with the Faculty of Agricultural Technology and the Faculty of Agriculture, University of Jember. Today I'm very happy because this event has gradually been held through offline method. It means that it will permit us to have interactive talking while drinking a cup of coffee or tea later on. That for 2 years ago, it is impossible for us to do this, and now becoming possible to see again and discuss, talking, to make a productive, constructive talking during this conference. And I also express my appreciation to the President of FANRes community, because it is not easy to maintain the conference like this until in the 8th round.
I think maybe about 8 years already, this conference established. And actually, it is also already, how to say, conducted in several countries so far. Yeah. As I know, it also has been done in Malaysia or in Thailand also. Therefore, I would like to take this opportunity to deliver my deepest gratitude to the chairman and chairwoman, as mentioned by the Professor Lutono, Dr. Rondi and Dr. Triana, and of course all steering committees. I think steering committees including the Dean of the Faculty of Agricultural Technology, the Dean of Agriculture, Faculty of Agriculture, and anyone else. This, of course, due to their valuable work and contribution that to this event in a reality. My special warm welcome and thanks also are expressed to all invited speakers, who will talk about the special and timely topics during this conference, particularly for them that will be into the plenary session. They are Professor Shinjiro Ojita from Prefecture University of Hiroshima, Japan, Professor Taiwan Kim from Hanyang National University, South Korea, and also by online, Professor Susan A.B. PhD from Deakin University, Australia. Again, thanks so much to all invited speakers who are willing to share their expertise and experiences in this event. Dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, the 8th IC FANRes and the 2nd IC SIA aim at providing a forum for presentation and discussion of the current and new development in agriculture and food science, technology and engineering, along with dissemination of relevant information among scientists, engineers, technologists, and other professionals coming from different countries around the world, of course. We wish all the result of the scientific paper, the scientific paper produced and shared during this event or this conference will inspire us to be more productive and enable of improvement of our works. Since this scientific event is related and relevant to the University of Jember and Jember Vision and Mission, we do encourage this event be able to promote also for the opportunity in extending research collaboration between lecturers of the University of Jember and the researchers from the abroad. We know very well that University of Jember also, we call it the founder of the FANRes. So for this reason, on behalf of the University of Jember, I'm very proud being a part of this network and will consistently committed to contribute and improve their regular agenda in the future. By this, we may accelerate the University of Jember efforts in realizing its long-term goal toward a world-class university. And finally, we would like to express our sincere thanks to the sponsor for their very valuable support to this conference. Last but not the least, again, on behalf of the University of Jember, I'd like to sincerely apologize should there be any inconveniences that occurs before, during, and after this event. By initiating Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I officially declare that the 5th IC FANRes and the 2nd IC SIA are open and started. Thank you. I wish this event successful and enjoyable. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you to Dr. Iwan Taruna.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now entering our main agenda, the plenary session by our keynote speakers. The first presentation will be given by Professor Shinjiro Ogita from Prefectural University of Hiroshima. Second, by Professor Tae-Wan Kim from Hangkyong National University, South Korea. Third, by Professor Susan Brumbai from National Center for Farmer Health, Deakin University, Victoria, Australia. The plenary session will be moderated by Dr. Jayus from University of Jember. Please welcome to Dr. Jayus.
This event organized by University of Jember, Research Center and Community Service University of Jember, Faculty of Agricultural Technology University of Jember, Faculty of Agricultural University of Jember.
This event supported by Ajinomoto, Government of Jember Agency, Department of Food Crops and Horticulture, Department of Education and Culture, Department of Communication and Information, Department of Transportation of Jember Agency, Head of State Financial and Asset Management Agency, Coffee and Cocoa Research Centers, Mitra Tani 27, Senyum Media, Bursa Mahasiswa, Primadona, Maenak.
I would like to introduce our moderator. Please, operator. Okay. Affiliation Associate Professor at Study Program of Agricultural Product Technology, Qualification Engineer Degree, University of Jember, Indonesia, Dr. PhD Latrobe, University, Australia, Research Interest Food Microbiology. To Dr. Jayus, time is yours.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony, for introducing me this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and thanks for the attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So we welcome you all, Mr. Rectors and invited speakers and all happy invited speakers again. Today, this morning session, the plenary session, we will have a very talented speakers that we have here. The first speaker, it could be Professor Shinjiro Ogita. Is that right pronunciation? The second, it would be Professor Tae-Wan Kim. And the next, it could be Professor Susan Bromby. Okay, before we start with the talk this morning, I'll introduce the very talented speakers this morning. The first is Professor Shinjiro Ogita. He is a professor and director of Field Science Center, Faculty of Bioresource Science, Department of Developmental Resources, Prefectural University of Hiroshima, Japan. And currently, he is also the Dean of the Faculty of Bioresource Science, Prefectural University of Hiroshima. His education background, it is the PhD in Agriculture at Tokyo University of Agriculture and Technology. And his specialization is actually in plant cell engineering. He is doing many research in plant cell culture and cell manipulation technique to control the growth and differentiation of resource use in our society. Okay, his research interest is also the establishment and provision of cell manipulation technology to freely select and design plant cell according to their purposes. And also, he has been scrutinizing and improve the growth and culture environment that increase the efficiency of plant growth and the material productivity of plant cells. He is also doing research on local issues and plant resources and recommendation for their utilization. His career, he did some postdoctoral activities with Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries Japan. It was in 97 till 2000. And he's also worked at Nara Institute of Science and Technology in Japan in 2000-2003. And he was also worked at Toyama Prefectural University in Japan till 2015. And till present, he is a lecturer in Prefectural University of Hiroshima. That's the first presenter today. So without any further ado, I'll hand over the time, Professor Okita. Your topic, it could be plant cellular agriculture, a new trend for food and material production. Time is yours.
Okay, before preparation of my slide, I just express my appreciation to the committee of this meeting, and of course all of the present who attend this meeting. I'm really happy to be here and to present this type of topics. Okay, as introduced myself and today's topics, I just talk about the plant cellular agriculture. This word is a kind of new trend for food and material production. Okay, next slide, please. Oh, this is my introduction, just skipped. Next slide. All right. Think about the food production, especially agriculture. And these topics published from the FAO, the United Nations Association, and in 2016. But we already know the impact of extreme climate event or climate changes become a bigger, stronger, and a serious problem. And this figure showed the effect of El Nino. The one is just attack to the Asian region or Caribbean region or other region. And the impact is not only the drought stress, but the kind of heavy rain, snow, or storm. And we have to overcome the problem, and we have to mention this type of extreme climate effect. Okay, next Next slide, please. Okay. And last year, Paul also mentioned about the food security, about such a worldwide environmental damage. And when I saw this report, I think about what can I do, or what have to do. And please think about what do you think about this situation, and what we can do against this problem. And I think we have to, oh, sorry, the part is in Japanese, but we have to reconstruct the production way about the food. Or we have to reorganize the system in the worldwide system of food production. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is satay ayam, I think. But this is not natural product. This one, actually the bottom line, this chicken meat is cultivated meat. Okay, not the natural, but looks really tasty. All right, what do you think? All right, next slide. Yes, this year the FAO, or WHO published the report about the milestone publication, the food safety aspect of cell-based food. I said the cultured cell meat, but the cell-based food is thought to be a product by culturing cells originating from animals plus plant or microorganisms. So we can produce the hopefully delicious food by using the tissue culture technology, of course, the animals, plant, or microorganisms. And we can say the production method of cell-based food is called cellular agriculture. And today I talk about especially plant cellular agriculture. Okay, okay, next slide. All right. Before starting my talk, I just brief checking this type of term, cellular agriculture or culture cell meat. So I just checked the data, and this data showed from 2018, we tend to use the term, or we focus on pay attention to the cell-based meat, but many were distributed. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is another example. And as a word, cultured meat is a kind of a general term. It's about 30% cultured meat. The others, the lab-growing meat, or sometimes people say the fake meat. Not so good word, but just pay attention to these words when you think about the cell-based meat. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Okay. And this is the report from FAO and WHO. And in this report, 9 things to know about the cell-based food already launched. And next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Yes, I just pick up the 9 things from what is it to some of the next steps that complement authorities can consider and undertaking. Please visit the video or this report in a website and just check in the content. And of course, we have to know what is it and what in a name or cell-based food are no longer or something like that. All right, I just introduced the several. Okay, next slide. Okay, just back to my topics, the plant cell agriculture. Okay, next slide. Yes, I just focus on a significant advance in plant cell tissue and organ culture. We sometimes use the PCTOC as a term, or just say the plant cell culture, the PC, that have been made in the last 5 decades. That means almost all the modern technique in this case. But think about the cellular agriculture, plant cellular agriculture. The PCTOC is now thought to be the underlying techniques for understanding the plant itself. Or we can use this type of technology for establishing a functional or superior plant or plant cell itself as food, medicine, or natural resources. Okay, next slide. Okay, just click. This is just small video to introduce the cell culture or plant tissue culture techniques. This is the culture room of my laboratories. And you can see the plant itself or cultured cell itself. And this is a clean bench, laminar flow. And the actor is mine. When we transfer or maintain the cultured cell in a liquid conditions, so firstly, we have to maintain the good quality calces in the petri dishes and pick up the well-growing cells. Of course, we have to select and choose the good one and put into the liquid conditions, like this one. And burn after burning, and just tightly keep and just shaking on the shaker at about the range 100 RPM. In dark conditions or sometimes light conditions. And after 2 to 3 weeks, we can get this type of liquid cell suspension culture of any types of target plant. Of course, theoretically, but I have to know the kind of special techniques or recipe for selection of cells or maintenance of target cells. Okay, next slide. Yes, just back to the one slide, previous slide. Okay, this one. And this slide showing the type of cell culture or type of tissue culture. And of course, we can use almost all techniques for inducing or for maintenance or for selected cell culture, but mainly this side. And the suspension culture and the calus culture, or sometimes the protoplast culture, is essential for making the high-quality cells. And the other side, somatic embryogenesis or organogenesis or micropropagation. This type of technology is really good for maintaining the superior plant species in vitro, or it's really useful for selectively induce the good cell line. Later, I have to show the example. Okay, next slide. Yes, and this is the way to establish the cell culture system. We have to do the PDCA with various aspects of selection, preparation, or analysis to know the characteristics of good cell line. Can you imagine? This is so complicated. But once you get a kind of point, you can easily can produce a good cell line. Okay. Of course, that depends on the purpose. Next slide. Yes. I'll give you one example. This is one good research result from my laboratory, and the plant name is Dokudami in Japanese, and the scientific names over there. And this plant this is a way, the materials method, and we need to establish the good surface sterilization methods and good way to maintain the in vitro plant rate. And of course, we have to know the growth pattern of plant plus characteristics of plant tissues. All right, next slide. What we did is just simply say once we sterilize the X plant, in this case, node portion or shoot tip, and just put onto the medium, sometimes without plant growth regulator, like plant hormone, auxin, and cytokinin. In this case, without plant growth regulator, the shoot tip or node portion can restart their growth. That means the shoot reproduction. And after 7 days or after 2 weeks, we can see multiple shoots. And after that, during the culture, we can observe that many shoots will come in a node portion or base portion of the shoot materials. And after 1 month, we can get the multiple shoot, the bunch of multiple shoot in this case. Once we generate this type of tissue, we can do anything. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is really complicated, but what we did is just checking the effect of, for example, type of culture medium, or effect of size or shape of X plant, or the right part is just a sectioning of regenerated plant, but depend on the position, like an internal section or base section or root section, showing the different color. That means reflect the accumulation pattern of useful functional secondary metabolite, like a flavonoid accumulation pattern is really different. So once we generated this type of in vitro plant, by using the different part of plant bed, we can establish the typical cell cultures originated from root portion, internal portion, or even the leaf portion, and then we can use such cell culture systems to produce the functional secondary metabolite for food materials, for example. Okay, next slide. All right, think about the food material itself. This is asparagus growing in my university field center. And when we sow the asparagus, how do you think? It's a tasty, or sometimes a little bit chewy, or sometimes a little bit hard or soft. So, that as you can see, the food is a complex of functional cells, like epidermis or vascular bundle or ground tissue have a function. And the function reflects the color, flavor, or functional element like a secondary metabolite, or fiber, texture, and so on. And once we generate the good cell line, the cell can make food diversity, like, yes, as I said. Okay, next slide. So that means that we have to selectively induce or carefully choose the cell line, the performance of cell lines. And this slide showing that root apical meristem and the shoot apical meristem. And we have to focus on OC and QC. That one is the organizing center of meristematic region. And the meristematic region, including the stem cells. So you can see the blue color or little pink color showing the stem cell region, stem cell niche. Okay, and this is the case pattern of the plantlet. But when we thought about the selectively induced cell lines, we should check the existence of stem cell-like structure in a culture cell. Okay? Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. All right. And when we check some references, the stem cell developmental potency is classified, theoretically classified like this: unipotent to totipotent. And of course, the unipotent, for example, a stem cell able to develop into only one cell or tissue type. So, like epidermal cell become epidermal cell, or vascular bundle, that means a fiber cell, tracheal element, become a tracheal element, theoretically. But for food materials, we need to establish at least multipotent or pluripotent cell lines, right? Okay, next slide, please. Yes, this is an example. This is the coffee somatic embryogenesis, and coffee somatic embryo can produce, induced from the leaf segment, like this one. And after 1 week, we can see the leaf materials become a little bit shrink. And 3 weeks and 6 weeks, at the cut edge, we can see the specific cell mass. And when we observe the specific cell mass under the microscope, that one is really mitotic active. Plus, we can see the kind of performance of cell mass, such a cell mass. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is just example. Once we generated the somatic embryogenesis, and okay, next slide. Right. We can use this type of cell mass to produce the genetically modified coffee, like a decaffeination. But this is just one example. The point is the somatic embryogenesis itself. Okay, next slide. Okay, here the establishment of pluripotent cell culture, and one of the students from Jember University just focused on this type of topics. And what we did is just carefully check the surface structure of somatic embryos. The one is panel small a to small d, and B, C, D showing the fluorescence image. And the epidermal layer, that one, the surface of somatic embryos, really active for producing any type of cells. For example, the bottom, A and B, the petri dishes, and A showing non-embryogenic cells, and B showing the embryogenic cells. In this case, from somatic embryos, we can selectively induce the two types of cells, embryogenic and non-embryogenic. And these can be used for the caffeine production, for example, and we can manipulate the functional element by using this type of cells. Okay, next slide. Right, and this is an example, another example. This is a bamboo cell, but the part is the proliferation and the lignification. So that means the proliferated cell, including the primary cell wall or amino acid, and the lignificated cell, that means the secondary cell wall or fiber element. So, and we already know the gene expression level or metabolic function of these cells, and that means experience and the scientific knowledge is important to produce or to regulate the types of cells. Okay, next slide. Oh, this is an example of what I did. This is just transcriptome analysis of both cells. Okay, next slide. Next slide. Yes. We can see what type of gene is upregulated or downregulated in this case. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. Right. By using this type of knowledge and the technology, I just make a concept to produce the good cell line for food materials. That means plant cellular agriculture, and I just attend one of the competition, Food Tech Grant, and this is October this year, and I just got the prize from the one company, Maruha Nichiro, and of course in this competition, not focus on only cellular agriculture, but the other food technology. But the plant cellular agriculture tend to focus from the Japanese companies. Yes, I can say so. Okay, next slide. And I just organized the one unit, the Plant for Social Multi-Unit. That means a PSOM. And our unit have a kind of technique to produce any types of culture cells from the target plant. And we can manipulate the function of the cell, as I mentioned. Of course, I can transform, I can improve the cell itself by using the latest technology. And our unit, PSOM, just focus on the plant cell agriculture. Of course, I just invite my partner university, including the Jember University and USIM from Malaysia. Okay, next slide. Oh, sorry, this is the part, the Japanese in part, but when we saw that graph, that one is the growth pattern of liquid culture conditions. And that flask size is 300 milliliter, and the culture medium, the volume of culture medium is 100 milliliter. And during the culture period, about 14 days, that means 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, the liquid culture cell just proliferated up to 80% or more than 80%. So that means proliferated cell mass is almost 100% plant materials. And of course, by using the several cell line or several culture conditions, we can control the function of target cells. And after mix up the culture cell, we can produce the food materials within a short time with sustainable conditions. All right, next slide. Yes, this is an example of a cultured cell with different color or different functional elements from whitish, yellowish, or brownish. Okay, next. And after collecting the cell mass and the filtration and the collection and just to make some example, like a cookie or like a small powder or small chips made from plant cell. And another slide, another example, next slide. Sorry, next slide, please. Right. And now we focus on one specific plant species like a camellia. Of course, the camellia including the several species, but the most important camellia is tea, right? This is a Japanese origin, the camellia. And of course, the Chinese origin exists, but my focus is the Japanese camellia species. And we already established several cell lines from the several camellia variety, especially the flavor specific or growth specific or some functional metabolite accumulating variety. Okay, next one. Next slide. Right. This is another example of the camellia. In Japanese, tsubaki or so. And the tsubaki plant, camellia plant, can produce the big fruit. And the big fruit accumulating the oily component. The percentage is 40%. That one is really high quality oil from plantlet. So that means if we can produce the cultured cell like the orange picture, that one is a specific staining method for oily component. And I already established the oily component producing cells from camellia plant. And basically 10% to 40% the oil component accumulating in this cells. So that means that we can use the culture cell for oil production, of course, especially food, or just think about another idea for functional materials. Okay, next slide. All right, this is the last. And to generate the cell lines or to generate the good way for plant cellular agriculture, we need 4 steps. One is the cell selection, as I mentioned, and I already established such a protocol or such a trick for cell selection. And the production, we already focus on coffee cell, for example, or tea plant cell, or tsubaki cell for oil production. And the harvesting, that means not from the field, but in a laboratory level or large-scale production. But harvesting is a little problematic for scale-upping or understanding from the public. And of course, the food processing, we just make a kind of test example. But for actual food processing or formation, we need public acceptance. So I want to ask you to make this type of story together with the people, or of course the collaborative work in the universities or something. All right, thank you very much. This is the end of my talk.
Thank you, Professor Agita. Just finished to run on time. So you have coffee in Japan, Professor? Coffee plantation? Okay. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for the next presenter, it will be Professor Tai-Wan Kim. So welcome you to the stage, Professor. Before Professor Kim starts with his talk, I'd like to introduce him a bit about his professional background. Currently, Professor Tai-Wan Kim, he is the Vice President of Hangkyong National University, HKNU for Foreign Affairs. And he is also a professor at Department of Plant Life and Environmental Science, Hangkyong National University. His educational background, Professor Kim, he was graduated from Korea University in 1985, and for her master degree, he got it from the Korea University in 1987, and his PhD, he graduated from another university. It was University of Graz, Austria, in 1994. So his research and also his research instead and book published by him, he got plenty book published. In 2009, he published a book about medicinal plant in Korea, and also Encyclopedia of Medical Plant in Korea in 2008. And I'm gonna read the last, the first book published by him, it was about basic and application of soil fertilization in 2003. And he published a lot of publications, mainly focused on proteomic evaluation of adult of Rhizoperta dominica resistant to phosphine. And also he published this in Environmental Toxicology and Pharmacology. He also got a few patents here about bioethanol production using Thypa species. Right, Professor Kim, time is yours. Enjoy your time.
Thank you. Yeah. I thank you your honorable invitation in Jember, University of Jember. So I'll present today. I'll present some conceptual and very short photochemical analysis. So recently I have interesting on the analysis of non-destructive analysis. This method is not. This method is inexpensive method, very cheap, and so today theme is analysis of spectral vegetation index of radish. According to nitrogen level, according to fertilizing, the plant has absorbed nitrogen. It's clear. This method is applied to radish, but also not only radish, but also almost all plants. Okay, so next slide, please. Yeah. This graph is very famous graph from Professor Kautsky, Austrian chemist and physician. He had found this pattern in a plant leaf. Chlorophyll can typically fluorescence this type. So 0OJIP, that's O is origin, J means jump, and I is intermediately, and the peak is maximum fluorescence. That means peak. This is very important on the photochemical research. You can, as you can see, this reaction time is not over 1,000 millisec. That means 1 sec. During 1 sec, this surprising pattern can be changed. Okay, next time, yes. So nowadays, many plant analysis sensors, they use the very wide range reflected wavelengths. Some normally plant use from 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer. It's means photoactive range, but I think plant has not only in this range, but also the wide range wavelengths, especially near infrared regions, so very important. So you can see light side wavelengths. Plant can reflect the absorbed light wavelengths, and then plants emitted some wide range wavelengths. Therefore, you can detect what is happening in plants. Some vegetation and stress index can be used. This from blue to near infrared range wavelengths. Of course, satellite can use almost light wavelengths, but you can use that satellite, but this vegetation index calculatable method. You can use. I introduced today this method. As you see, about in near infrared regions, you can detect water stress and plant disease. I have applied to Mongolian desert plants, very sensitive method. And so short wave, mid wave, and long wave, these regions maybe community telecommunity engineering used to that range. Okay, so next slide. These equipments you can use normally. The left side is chlorophyll fluorescence camera. We can detect the plant directly. You can imagine. You can make image whether the plants are healthy or not. You can directly you can imagining. And the second is clip method, so-called Professor Kauchiki. OJIP graph can be calculated with this apparatus. As you see, plant leaf is located in on the clip, and you can measure the OJIP parameters. And the third is, as you know, the drone. Drone can be also equipped with some hyperspectral instruments and chlorophyll fluorescence instrument and so on. I think that a drone method can be used normally for vegetation. How vegetation is, whether vegetation is healthy or not, disease or not, and stress such as water stress and temperature stress and so on. And last is a polypen, a very cheap instrument, but very powerful. That can we can get the data ranged from about 700 nanometer to 30,000 to surface ranged plants grown in field. Okay, so two chlorophyll fluorescence instruments can be used in laboratory, and right two instruments you can use in field. Next slide. This is parameter. So left is fluorescence data. So conceptually, left ABS per CS, that means light absorption flux per cross section, so-called chlorophyll fluorescence. And the second important index is trap per CS. That is that means trapped energy flux per cross section. And ET2 zero, that means electron transport flux per cross section. That means almost photosystem 2 activity. So and then RE 10 for CS, that means electron transport flux until PS1. That means plant physiologically the end product of photosystem 1 is NADPH. You can calculate it, and you can have a model very effective efficiency until to NADPH production. So last DI 0 for CS, that means displace energy flux per cross section. That means absorbed photons on lip. You did not use to ATP or NADPH that dissipated energy or heat dissipated. Okay, and then performance index, that is above mentioned indices can be calculated last PI ABS. That means the performance index for energy conservation from photons absorbed by photosystem 2. And last important, most important index is PI total ABS. You can calculate the performance index for energy conservation from photosystem 2 until to photosystem 1 acceptors. Right table is the index for vegetation analysis. NDVI, the normalized difference vegetation index, that is so-called NDVI. Professor Laus, he has found, he has thought a plant has absorbed red light, but not very usefully red light, but near infrared light is emitted. That we can calculate anyway. So NIR minus red light, and then so as you see, NDVI can be calculated. And about after 20 years, one soil scientist, Londu, he has found the optimized soil as adjusted vegetation index. That means soil can also emit red light and infrared. Therefore, we can something optimize. We must optimize the index, and normalized pyrophytinization index is also very important. So-called MPQI is that means chlorophyll is degraded to pyrophytin. You can estimate pyrophytin. That means MPQI. So, and PRI is very important. Satellite, agricultural satellite use also this parameter. And normalized pigment chlorophyll index is also MPCI. We can use this index. Structural intensive pigment index was also calculated, Professor FANRes, and lastly, renormalized difference vegetation index is also found by Professor Braun group. Okay, so we can, anyway, we can measure and calculate very simply and with very cheap instruments. So next slide, please. So as you see, normalized difference vegetation index, that means, so simply you can calculate the healthy plant absorbed NIR and then emit 50% NIR, but the red-light come absorbed almost over 92%. That means reflected or emitted 8%. That means normalized vegetation index 0.72. The on-health, you can see the red light emit and over 30% emitted. That means shortly, plant cannot photosynthesis. Okay, so on health plants NDVI value is 0.14. Yeah? So next slide, please. Yeah. This is a PRI image. You can imagine, you can make imaging PRI that is after drought stress, 20 minutes after 20 minutes, and the right figure is after 6 hours. As you see, very simply, you can determine where this plant is stressed or not. Okay, next slide, please. Therefore, normalized difference vegetation index, NDVI, we can assess vegetation density and photosynthetic activity. And the normalized phytophthalates index, you can calculate that is chlorophyll degradation and importantly, early stress detection. You can use this stress. And the PRI is not only photosynthetic activity, but also something plant stress determination. Next slide, please. Yeah. So that is fertilization with nitrogen. So radish normalized in Korea. So 234 kilogram per hectare is normal fertilization dosage, but twofold higher fertilized plant. We have compared the zero or normal and twice fold fertilization. So, and okay, next slide, please. As you see, normal fertilized plants has high productivity, and twice fertilization, yes, it's not maximized, reduced productivity. So next, please. Next slide, please. Early stage, we can measure the OJIP parameters. As you see, the PI index or reaction center per cross-section and the trapid energy flux per cross-section and so on. In early stage, we have measured the chlorophyll fluorescence, and then next slide, please. Yeah, this is during middle growth period. The parameters were extremely changed. So green line is normal fertilized plant, and so you can see double fertilized plant has higher photosynthetic parameters, and electron transport until to photosystem 1, the double fertilized plant has higher than normal fertilized plant. And this is middle growth stage. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yes. We have measure also during harvest stage, and yeah, so chlorophyll fluorescence parameters were dramatically changed. So double fertilized plant has also almost all photosynthetic parameters were reduced by fertilization, and but DI for cross section, that means heat energy dissipated flux were higher than normal fertilized plants. So yeah, as you see, we can measure the photosynthetic activity with very cheap instrument, and we can determine that there is good fertilized or not. Yeah, yes, okay. And not only nitrogen fertilization, but also another abiotic stress is you can measure these instruments. And next. Yes, you have graph feed. Yeah, so well, middle is ET20 per cross section. That means whether the photosystem 2 is healthy or not. Yeah, you can see no fertilized plants has low values, lower value than other nitrogen fertilized plants. graph is R410 per section, cross section. That means absorbed light can transport to until to photosystem 1 rest acceptors. That means nitrogen can help electron transport. Yeah, so, okay, so next slide, please. That is a vegetation index. You can use some vegetation indices and NDVI. So early growth from early growth stage to harvest stage. Yeah. So very we can estimate the situation of a plant, and MPQI also you can use, and PRI, last PRI is very important. They give some results. We can use vegetation index, and you can use determine the plant stress. And okay, next slide.
Excuse me, Professor. You have 4 minutes left.
Oh yes, okay. So last slide. Yeah, you can now we make and we use the modeling using artificial intelligence computer, and yeah, so we making now. Yeah, okay. So next slide, please. Yeah. Okay. I have concluded. I would like to chlorophyll fluorescence analysis and the vegetation index analysis serve as a powerful tool for assessing the plant health and the productivity. Yeah. Thank you very much. Your attention. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Professor Kim. Come back to the chair. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have another presenter. Last but not least, for the last presenter for this morning session, it will be Professor Susan Bromby from Deakin University. I hope she already joined with us. Professor Bromby, are you with us? Okay, we hope that Professor Bromby, she doesn't have any trouble with the connection. Before we start with her talk, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce her to us. So, Professor Bromby, allow us to introduce yourself to audience up here. Professor Susan Bromby, she is a clinical professor at Faculty of Health Center for Farmer Health, Deakin University, Victoria, Australia. Her educational background, she got her diploma, farm management diploma. It was in 1987 from Victorian College Agriculture, and Horticulture, Victorian College Agriculture and Horticulture, Australia. She got her also graduate diploma in Women's Studies from Deakin University. It was in 1998. And in 2004, she got her master degrees in healthcare administration management. So she got it from New England University. And her PhD degree, he got it from the same university as mine, which is La Trobe University, Australia. So he graduated in 2014. Professor Brumby, she also doing lots of teaching activities. She teach and assess in the postgraduate agriculture, health and medicine course, and also guest lecturer for year 1 or 2 medical student. And she also co-supervise PhD student. She also got a few awards. In 2005, she got the outstanding contribution to rural health from the Department of Human Service Award. And in 2006, she also got a Victorian Travelling Fellowship. And in 2009, she was recognized with the Victorian Regional Achievement and Community Career and Trade Development Award. Professor Brumby, are you ready with the talk, Professor?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, you're right. Your voice is very clear. We can hear it clearly, Professor. So time is yours. So enjoy for the next 30 minutes for your talk.
Okay. Thank you very much for excellent. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak with you today. And I hope your presentation that day has been very, very successful. And it's a great honour to be able to present to you about our work in Victoria, Australia, and particularly around climate and the effect in our agricultural communities, and particularly how that is affecting our farming populations on days of high heat. I will attempt to share my screen with you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it is nice, Professor.
That's nice. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. So today I'm speaking to you around high heat and presentations to emergency departments that we have across our farming and non-farming communities. I might just ask one of my colleagues, Jesse, are you still here? Can you help me with my screen so I can see it more clearly on mine? Sorry, I can't see my screen myself, so I'm just asking a colleague for some assistance. They can see that. Excellent. Thank you, Jessie. Thank you all very much for that patience. And I would particularly like to acknowledge my colleague, Jessie, who just came to assist me, Dr. Kate Clute, Associate Professor Tim Baker, and Mahema Ladriza, and Elvira Hewson. Some of you may or may not be aware of where we're based in Victoria, but we are a partnership with Deakin University School of Medicine and Western District Health Service, which is a regional Health Service. We're about 300 kilometres west of Melbourne. Our main focus is on the improvement of health, wellbeing and safety of farmers, and in particularly farm employees, farm families, nationally and internationally. Is everything clear from your end here? You're seeing the screen okay?
Yeah,
Yeah?
this is all right, yeah.
Thank you. We're based down in Victoria, which is the bottom of the right-hand corner. And some of you will be familiar with the challenges we've had with bushfires. We're predominantly a grazing and cropping area, and we certainly have areas of great beauty. And certainly Dr. Irma has been and visited Hamilton and seen that.
Large exporter of sheep meat, a large exporter of beef, and also of cotton. We also used to be a very large exporter of dairy, but over the last few years that has reduced substantially. And as a result, we haven't been producing as much of that. I guess why I'm showing you this is when we're thinking about the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations, obviously access to food and food security is very, very important. In Australia, 55% of our land is occupied for agriculture, and we produce far more than we need, and we export around 72% overseas. We produce enough food to feed around 80 million people. Thinking about the Sustainable Development Goals, we're particularly keen on Goal 2 about achieving food security and improved nutrition and promoting sustainable agriculture, not only for food security, but also for the environment and for the people that are farming and producing our food. The Centre for Farmer Health focuses very heavily on the health, well-being and safety of farmers and for all ages, which fits in very closely to Goal 3. Goal 10, according to all our data, is that we know there is great inequality in our rural populations, and that farming people are also more likely to experience workplace injury and death, and are also more likely to take their own lives by suicide. So whilst Australia is a wealthy country, we are still mindful of the inequality within our own country, particularly between metropolitan populations and farming populations. Goal 13 is very much around taking urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. And today I'm just sharing with you some of the research we've been looking at around its impacts in terms of high heat days and how they differ for wherever you are or what type of work you may be doing in our community of Western Victoria. As we all know, the climate is changing, and it is predicted that there will be much more frequent and intense weather conditions. This graph shows the number of high heat days increasing over the last 100 years. In Australia, heat has killed more Australians than any other natural disaster and has accounted for 55% of the total deaths in Australia due to natural hazards. Heat illness occurs from combined environmental exposure, metabolic demands, and restricted cooling mechanisms, causing the body to be unable to disperse heat adequately, resulting in thermoregulatory dysfunction. It can vary from a mild heat rash to severe heat stroke and death. And we have recently had a death in Australia from heat stroke at a music concert, actually. What is already known? Most of the research has focused very heavily on metropolitan Australia and has identified increases in illness during the high heat days and events. This has included increased ambulance calls out and those also presenting with being more unwell and increased hospital admissions. We had a very, very large heat wave back in 2009, which resulted in 374 more deaths. It was very clear that there was a massive increase in ED presentations, but also in mortality. Agricultural workers have certainly been identified as a high-risk population. However, as said, most of the research has focused on metropolitan populations and not on agricultural and rural communities. This is a map of Australia showing where the previous studies have been undertaken, and primarily, as you can see here, is Victoria. There's been 2 focused in Melbourne. And what's great is our work is actually focused on regional areas. A recent other publication has just come out exploring heat health and ED populations, but has also omitted about 40% of the actual ED presentations because they are occurring in smaller rural areas, and so they're not included in the data. So our study was to determine and understand the prevalence and characteristics of heat-related illness in our very agriculturally based Southwest Victoria using a data set called the Rural Acute Hospital Data Register. And we looked at admissions from 2017 to 2020 between the warmer months of November to March. We also aim to compare frequencies of presentations from individuals that came from farming towns versus non-farming towns. The map is showing you the location of around the coast of Victoria of where these smaller rural hospitals were based and the emergency departments. We had 3 different data collections methods that I'd like to now go over. Firstly, the weather data or the identification of high heat days. At this stage, there was no Australian or internationally agreed upon definition for high heat days. After reviewing the literature and previous studies investigating heat-related illness, days over the 95th and 99th temperature percentile were identified as regularly used definitions. After calculating this, it was determined we would use the 95th temperature percentile of the months included in the study of November to March, as otherwise there wouldn't have been enough days in the 99th percentile. Data was downloaded from each of the weather stations closest to the hospitals and the Bureau of Meteorology, which is shown on the table that you can see on your screen. This was done as the climate for each of our locations is slightly different. Some were more coastally based and some were more inland. And acclimatization to each location is actually an important factor when you're looking at heat-related illness. The temperature cutoffs for each location are shown in the table, and they range from 33 degrees Celsius to 36.8 degrees Celsius. Interestingly, this 3-year period was probably not as hot as we had expected it to be. And as we're now heading into an El Nino, we're expecting that this year will be very, very hot. The international classification of diseases was then used. The heat-related illnesses or health conditions influenced by heat we needed to identify. The international codes for classifying diseases and health problems, we use the ICD-10 to do this. Although there are specific heat-related codes, previous literature has highlighted that heat precipitates a large number of other conditions, such as respiratory conditions, cardiac disease, kidney problems, and resulted in a large number of the heat-related codes rarely being used. That is, as opposed to defining something as a heat-related illness, they tended to define them as either a cardiac or a respiratory. So therefore, realizing this, we reviewed diagnosis coding used in previous literature, and with the expertise of clinicians, we developed this list to be used to explore the heat-related presentations. The table shows you the major diagnostic blocks and code groups under that were used, and there were 494 diagnoses possible. And finally, the whole kind of premise of our research was to identify, is there a difference in how farming people present at emergency departments as opposed to non-farming people? Unfortunately, occupation is not collected in our hospital databases, so we had to develop our own framework to identify farming towns, as no work has previously identified towns with high populations involved in agriculture. So this framework, which is described on the slide, considered a few factors when determining a farming location. Firstly, we looked at the town statistics, the population, and the number of people employed in agriculture. Then we digitally visualized the town, which was conducted by 2 people to assess the presence of farming characteristics and clusters of houses. Other consideration included the local government area employment and how many people were employed in agriculture, and also a system we use in Australia called the modified Monash model. A percentage of the population then involved in agriculture was estimated. In the end, a town was classified as a farming town if it was estimated that greater than 70% of the population was involved in agriculture. This framework was then developed by the research team and then underwent inter-rater reliability testing of the 110 towns with 3 independent researchers to ensure the system and framework we put in place was valid. And we received over 90% agreement of the 433 towns rated. Using these 3 data collection elements, so that is the ICD-10, the weather data, and the farming, non-farming relating towns. The data was extracted from the radar database, and the analysis was then undertaken using statistical packaging for social sciences. The results was 61,631 presentations that lived in the 9 LGAs over the 453 study days. We had 5% of admissions on high heat days and 95% of admissions on non-high heat days. The farming towns, there was 4,540 individuals from farming towns and 57,000 individuals from non-farming towns. I'll just whip through the presentation for you. So hopefully, you can see this, but injuries were the most common type of presentation for all groups. As you can see, there is a drop on the high heat days. This is a surprise. So on days of high heat, we were actually seeing far less injuries. Musculoskeletal injuries and connective tissue system illnesses and neurological system illnesses and other presentations also declined on high heat days. While circulatory system and respiratory system illness increased. Similarly, in the non-farming group, circulatory system illness and other presentations increased. Overall, on high heat days, farmers' presentations decreased by 21% and non-farmers by 7%. So this is quite extraordinary in comparison to what happens in metropolitan populations. So we saw overall, regardless of what days, that injuries were the most common type of presentations in all groups. However, on days of high heat, we could see a drop. Muscular-connective tissue system illnesses, neurological illness, and other presentations also declined on days of high heat for farmers. However, respiratory system illness and respiratory illness increased. In non-farming groups, circulatory system illness and other presentations also increased on days of high heat. However, overall, on days of high heat, there was a decrease of 21% by farmers and 7% by non-farmers. If we have a look at the characteristics of these presentations, we can see that the farming cohort overall, so that's here, was younger than the non-farming cohort. More females than males presented to overall more females presented to the emergency departments, but there were more males presenting from farming towns than women from farming towns and locations, which possibly isn't a surprise. One of the things that kind of concerns us living in our rural communities is the lack of available emergency transport or ambulances. The majority of presentations arrived via other transport methods, which include private cars. In Australia, we're always told to call an ambulance if you need assistance, but in fact, what we see is that the majority of people are arriving at emergency departments using other types of transport, and for farming people, this is particularly noticeable. The majority of our presentations were classified as urgent or semi-urgent, and the majority were discharged home. However, on days of high heat, more farmers were admitted to hospital and less were discharged home, suggesting that they were more severely ill. And this is something that we also want to do some further work on it. We then undertook a logistic regression comparing the prevalence of emergency department presentations on high heat days and non-high heat days with farming town status. After adjusting for age, gender, and the modified Monash model, which looks at degrees of rurality, and also looking at the index of socio-economic advantage and disadvantage, farmers were 17% less likely to present to emergency departments on high heat days compared to those from non-farming areas. So the conclusion was this was unexpected for us. We were expecting to find an increase in presentations to emergency departments and urgent care centres on days of high heat. This is what other studies have found, looking at metropolitan areas in particular, that on days of high heat, presentations and people needing assistance increases. Farmers were 17% less likely to present on high heat days than non-farmers. Increases in circulatory system illness and respiratory system illness is also consistent with previous research. The decrease in presentations, however, overall, suggests adaptation by farmers in behaviours, perhaps self-pacing, being able to get up earlier in the morning before it's too hot, increased rest periods because a lot of farmers live where they work, and do their strenuous activities in cooler parts of the day, or perhaps they're drinking more water. So what's next? I think what this has clearly shown is that communities are not all homogenous. They're not all the same. Certainly rural communities based in farming communities and metropolitan communities are very different and respond at specific temperature thresholds in different ways. Not one size fits all. Identification of at-risk populations in local communities and the local hazards is particularly important. Increasing public awareness of heat-related health risks, particularly for those with respiratory or cardiac issues, is very important. And local healthcare facilities need to have an adaptive capacity for potential increases in demand. What was good news was that on days of high heat, the major injuries did fall for both farming and non-farming populations. We're particularly keen to also explore further into transport to emergency departments and urgent care centres. We're currently undertaking further research to look further at the presentation types and the characteristics of patients. Also looking to see if they're local or whether they're tourists, because we do have coastal areas around us. And what happens on the high heat consecutive days. So instead of just looking at the high heat event, actually looking at 2 or 3 or 4 days after the event. And we're going to be looking at that now from February 2017 right up to the 1st of February 2023. Thank you very much for the opportunity of speaking with you today and sharing this. I'm very happy to take questions, and thank you again for the opportunity. Good.
Start your question, and also please mention to whom your question should be addressed for. So please, if you have any question for the 3 speakers up here. Okay, first question from this side. Yes, while we are waiting for another question, just please you can start question now.
Check. So, Ohayuko Barista. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So, first of all, I want to say welcome to Jember University to our special guest and amazing speaker from the various country. So, my question is,
sorry.
Concentrate with
your name, please.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My name is Fernando. I'm from Department of Agro-Industrial Technology, University of Jember, batch 2022. My question is relate with Professor Susan. Sorry if it's a little bit out of topic, but I think this related. But before that, I'm sorry I use my phone because my English is not literally good. based on the explanation that has been given, it's really helped us in increasing our knowledge about how important the sustainability in our lives, especially from agriculture. But I think the problem now is in our mindset. If we say about knowledge is easy to access, we can learn anywhere, we can learn anytime that we want. But the hardest thing is in our mindset. I think why it will be like that, of course, if there is no application in our life, the knowledge that we have, it will useless. So my question is how we as a youth to make and to have a mindset that carrying environment, it's really important for a better future. Thank you.
Sorry, can you repeat again your question? Okay, because it was
Okay.
a bit, yeah.
So my question is how we as a youth, younger generation, to have and to make that mindset, the caring the environment with sustainability is it's very important for a better future. Thank you.
All right. Okay then. You get the question, Professor Bromby?
Yes, thank you for your question.
All right, okay. Before you
And-
answer the question, I will let other audience, maybe, is there any other question? Either for, okay, this side, please.
Thank you. Good morning, all. My name is Tablik Permana from Swiss German University, and I would like to. I have questions to Professor from Japan, Prof. Ogita. My question is, in Japan, if we are a scientist, found a novel food. The novel food will have specific food category in the regulations, new food category in the regulations, or will be merged with the previous food categories. Let's say if the novel food like planted from the cell as a cabbage, it will be issued new regulations for the cell-planted cabbage, or just use the previous regulations? That's the first question. And the second question, if we are a scientist, find the food with functionality, like the research that you mentioned before, in Japan, can we deliver the claim, health claim, or the functionality to the food product? That's my questions. Thank you.
All right then. There are two questions for Professor Ogita. First, keep with us. You got, okay, all right. The third question, maybe, for Professor Kim. Is there any? Okay then. I think I'll give a chance to Professor Prambi to answer question from the audience regarding about mindset or careness of young generation, youngsters, to make our environment, more appropriate to us, either as a farmer or non-farmer communities. All right, please, Professor Bromby.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, which is so very important for our future and ongoing communities wherever we are living. I think there is reason to be very hopeful and optimistic about the care of the environment going forward. There is strong commitment and understanding around how important it is in terms of sustainability. Certainly in Australia, there is big movements towards regenerative agriculture and methods that are far less harmful to the environment, using less pesticides, using less methodology that is likely to disrupt the soil and cause erosion. We have a lot of difficulty with erosion here. There is certainly big movements, and I had the pleasure of meeting quite a few younger people last week that are working with the United Nations around these very sustainable development goals and agriculture, and bringing back to Australia better ways of thinking about farming and sustainability. So I think there's, and as you also pointed out, that there is an ability to source information if you're looking for it a lot easier now, that we can find knowledge if we're looking for it to influence our mindsets. And I think that's also important, people being hungry for information, but also for the right information. And that's why conferences and getting together and networking, I think, are also very important, such as this initiative today. I hope that helps.
That's the answer of your question, Fernandia. If you have any other word to say, all right? Okay, that's all. Okay. Next question, it was for Professor Okita. I catch two questions, it was at the time. It's about the regulation when we are creating a new food, novel food. That's the first question. And the second one is about the food functionality, whether or not we can apply deliver the all functionality of that food to the new food that we create. All right?
Okay, right. Thank you for the question. And because of the cultured cell-based food is a new category. Of course, the cultured cell-based food can be used for the traditional way or latest way. But as a category, we can make a food, for the example, but we also need to establish or develop the basic rule or the specific law for the food security or for food production. So I can say this technique can be used for can be used for both categories, the traditional and the latest way. So it's difficult to say correctly, but and he mentioned cabbage, and it depends on style of food. Yes, if we just think about the raw materials like a cabbage, salad, or something, so that means cultured cell have to transform to the fresh one. So if we make cabbage soup or powder or kind of additives, then we can use the cultural cell-based food as a first step. But the next step, if we think about the kind of product, like, okay, this type of sweet or this type of cookie or something. So in this case, we can use the cell-based food and the cultured cell as a normal natural materials because of the already powdered or paste or liquid. Is it okay for your question?
Is that answering your question? Do you have any other question maybe related to that? Just feel free to ask her. Okay. Microphone.
Okay, thank you. I also want to know, based on your knowledge, in Japan, is there any novel food, whether the new materials or new products that's already commercialized and then also already equipped with new regulations to maintain, to control the food safety and others? If it's yes, what kind of the novel food that's already commercialized there?
Okay. You got the question? New food, novel food, which has been commercialized in Japan. And that new food, whether, fulfill the regulation of food commercialization.
Okay, so in Japan, the answer is no, not yet. So in a laboratory base or with collaborative with a company, we can make what we already made like a cultured cell patty or hamburger or something, or even a salmon. And the plant cell also can be used for some product. But in Japan, we cannot commercialize yet. And what can I say? Not animal cell, plant cell, but by using the microorganism, for example, fermentation, and make some product. Such a product already published. And in the near future, and cultured cell-based materials, not the food, but the raw materials for anything. So the one will be, yes, come to the public.
Okay. This is new plant, not new food.
Yes, of course, including the food materials, but for example, oil product can be used for the food and can be used for the cosmetics or something. So such a product already.
Okay. All right then, is that answering your question, guys?
I think it is enough for the first questions.
Okay,
Thank
then.
you.
Okay, we still have about 4 to 5 minutes left for the question and answer session. If you have another question, so just feel free.
I have.
Oh, you have another question.
Question.
All right. Okay.
To
Then that's
Professor
okay.
Ogita. Yes.
All right. Okay, Prof. Kim.
So I have many times helped to assess the stress analysis on the genetic modified plants. I think that the vegetation index or photochemical analysis can be applied to also cell cultured, newly cultured plant tissue and so on. What do you think about the application of plant cell culture?
Thank you very much. Your question, basically the quality control of cultural cell using photosynthetic ability or sensory monitoring. Yeah, I think that it's really important technique to measure the activity of the cultural cell or quality control of the cell itself. And the point is, of course, to collect the actual data to evaluate which cultural cell is the best for food or others, which targeted cell can be used for the industrial materials. So, for example, photosynthetic ability to produce the amino acid or secondary metabolite is really correlated, I think. So, please collaborate with such an analysis. Thank you very much.
Okay. I got another question for Professor Kim. Okay, when you do your spectra of the plant, taking the spectra of the plant, is there any other factor or maybe hidden factor which will interfere your data?
So there is no hidden data.
I mean,
okay. So and
the factor which is interfere.
So here, Professor Slameto.
Slameto.
Yeah.
Right.
So he has interesting to assess this method, and we have calculate simply with Excel program, and so now we make the big data using AI AI system. So I have over million images from fluorescence analysis. You can make any model, and so in the future, I think we have simply image after imaging to assess the agricultural products or agricultural quality. Maybe so. You want to until to quality control. Yeah. So as Professor Ogita said, so quality control is not simple. Yeah. So, and we can now our scientific level is simply to identify health or not, or stress or not. Yeah, and in the future we make the quality control, and so and so on. Yeah,
it's very promising technique that you use that one.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Professor Kim. Okay, according to the schedule provided to me, I think the time is up for the discussion. But if you still have any question, I think later you can ask our two professors here during the break, maybe. During the break, maybe. All right, before we move on to the last session, I think I'll give a chance to these three talented professors to give a closing statement, maybe, from Professor Brambi. Start.
Well, thank you. It's been a great honour to be able to participate, and congratulations on being able to bring together such a large collection of people that are so committed to agriculture, whether it's through technology, through climate action, or producing better and safer food, or in our case, looking after the health, well-being and safety of the farmers and agricultural workers, whether here in Australia or working with you in Jember or globally. So I think there is much still to be done. Congratulations on bringing this conference together, and thank you very much for allowing me to participate. I wish you all the very best for the rest of your day.
Expensive instruments help, not almost. Yeah. So I think that the Nobel Prize holder, one thought, I think they had tried to study with only simple instruments.
Simple instruments.
Yes. Yeah. Today I have explained some inexpensive and very cheap instruments, but the calculation and biophysical study is very important, and in future all our young attendee will be happy and to yeah
Okay.
and yeah, okay. So thank you for your attention, and so invite a honorable conference. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, Professor. Right then, it was the closing statement from the three professors. And before I hand over to the master ceremony, I think it is worth if I highlight the talk that has been presented by three professors. First time from Professor Ogita, my highlight is that instead of conventional plant cellular agriculture, stem cell has more promising technique, not only for one cell type or plant body, but it is able to develop into all cell type with the unipotent, multipotent, and pluripotent. So that's the excellent stem cell. From Professor Kim, what I can highlight is actually the analysis of spectral vegetation index can be used to monitor the growth of plant, especially radish, based on the chlorophyll content, photosynthetic performance because of nitrogen deficiency. And the talk from Professor Prambi, which I can highlight, it was that high heat days is less likely affecting the farming population compared to the non-farming population. But again, the presentation in circulatory and respiratory system illness, it was increased. That's the thing that we have to care about. All right, then. Thank you very much for the audience as well. And then for the three talented professor, I think it is worth if we have give applause to them. Again, thank you very much, Prof. Bambi, Prof. Kim, and Prof. Ogita for the nice talk, and you are all the talented professors. If I have any mistakes, so please forgive us. All right then, I return back the session to Master of Ceremony. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Chayus. The next agenda is giving souvenirs to Professor Yuli Witono and Dr. Bambang Marhainanto. Please come forward. To Professor Shinjiro Gita and Professor Taewan Kim, please remain. Please remain for photo session. We invite all Dean and Vice Dean, Head of Committee FANRes and ICCA, Mr. Rondi and Ms. Triana, also, we invite all paper and poster participants to come forward. Once again, we invite all paper and poster participants to have a photo session. Please be seated. Thank you. Your Excellencies, our keynote speaker, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of plenary session for day 1. The next agenda is break until 1 p.m. The parallel session will be start after break. Thank you very much for your kind attention. See you for tomorrow. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We want to inform you after we have a break, there will be a parallel session. Room 2 and room 3 are on second floor. Room 1 on third floor.
Every presenter for parallel session does not yet submit the paper or slide. Please give the material slide file to committee at parallel room. 15 minutes before the session is start, the committee will stand by in every room 15 minutes before the session.
We provide free field trips for paper and poster participants on Sunday, 26 November 2023 from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. Our registration for field trip is open at the registration site until 4 p.m.
To Muslim men preparing to attend Friday prayers, the mosque is located 100 meters north of this building.
We provide photo booth and spin booth at the back of this room. Thank you. Kepada mahasiswa yang hadir hari ini, dimohon untuk scan barcode terkait sertifikat. Sekali lagi kepada mahasiswa yang hadir hari ini mengikuti seminar, dapat men-scan barcode yang tertera pada layar di depan. For all participants, poster participant and paper